Hello.
Hiya.
Thank you. That was absolutely magnificent. And I'm not being facetious now. And my friend Isabel's just texted me. There's no way Isabel is going to see this, so hi, Isabel.
Hi, Isabel.
Hi, Barnes. So that's the second time I've seen Snakedance. The first time I saw Snakedance is not that long ago, actually. And I thought then, great story. And I think that it's a better story. In fact, I think it's a magnificent... In fact, I think it's probably the best Fifth Doctor story so far in context. And the reason I think that is because I think the flaws that I had identified with the Fifth Doctor era so far are still very, very clearly there, in so much as I feel that the Fifth Doctor is occasionally quite brusque in a way that I didn't really remember him being. I think that he seems out of his depth sometimes. He doesn't seem to be able to have the tools to deal with situations that other Doctors deal with ease. That is part of the entertaining nature of Doctor Who. So when Pertwee ends up in a bureaucratic nightmare, he'll just cut through it with bluster. Or a Baker will sort of undercut it by, like, infuriating the bad guys. Baker doesn't seem to be able to do that. Baker seems to end up in a situation with Martin Clues, and it's a great performance from Martin Clues, but he's a kid. There's no way, no matter what the stature of Martin Clues in this story is, that the Doctor should be being overwhelmed by Martin Clunes. But that happened at the start of this episode, and it's like, surely the Doctor can deal with a jumped-up little prat like Martin Clunes, even one that is overtaken by the Mara. But the moment in this story that has completely solidified my take on the Fifth Doctor now, do you know which bit it was, Lib?
Was it when he said, "Trust me"?
No, but that was part of it. It's when he's talking to Dozian during the Snakedance.
I love Dozian.
And what a legend. It's the moment he talks to Dozian and he says in a panicky voice, "It's my fault." And he goes on about Tegan, she's in trouble, and it's my fault. Now, we have not, I don't think, heard the Fifth Doctor externalise his feelings about his companions at any point. And suddenly, the Fifth Doctor makes sense to me. All of that sort of getting frustrated with his companions throughout the whole of the last season, all of that getting wound up, that moment at the end of Arc of Infinity where he kind of looks a bit disappointed almost that Tegan's back. All the stuff with Adric and trying to sort of engage him and failing miserably.
Why would you mention Adric now?
Because this is a Doctor, I think, who's defined by his companions. Now, a lot of Doctors are shaped by their companions. And a lot of Doctors succeed or fail, I think, to a certain extent by the nature of the relationships they have with the companions. I think Davison is completely... And this is what the soap opera thing is. It's not to do with, we're trying to get back to Heathrow, or, there's lots of people in the TARDIS bickering. I genuinely feel this is a Doctor who is trying to cope with these freaking kids in his TARDIS. You think about going all the way back to Castrovalva. This is a Doctor who arrives on the scene with a companion that's been around for 3 stories, a companion that's been around for 2 stories, and one that's rocked up in that story. That doesn't happen very often. And they're young, and they're inexperienced. The next story, his first story, he gives them jobs to do. Tegan, you're going to do this job, and Adric, you're going to do this job, even though he wasn't there. And Nissa, you're going to do this job, because that's the way we're going to get through this. We're going to have to be a team. But it doesn't work out. Adric's not there. And then we get a sequence of stories where this Doctor's sort of trying to get on and do stuff. He goes to play cricket, seemingly in this safe environment. It all goes, tits up. But by the by, we can make sense of this. Companion gets killed, absolute nightmare. This is a Doctor who I think is carrying around the responsibility of having to look at, after these Earth people. That's why I think flipping Nissa... in this story, that line about, it wasn't necessary, I think that's totally there deliberately. I think it's totally there deliberately to whatever extent, whether it was the writing of it, the direction of it, the performances, because the Doctor is trying to do the Doctory thing of looking after his companions. And eventually, again, this Doctor has to lean on the experience of an older man. That seems to happen a lot with this Doctor, or an older person, a person of some level of authority. This Doctor, by this point, is times older than all these people. Like, he's had life experience that goes over and over and over again. But I genuinely feel the Doctor, when he's regenerated, kind of loses a sense of how to interrelate with people. You know, you see this with the Doctor so often, this clumsiness with dealing with people when they've just regenerated, irrespective of how much experience they've got built across the measure of lifetimes, unlike older human or humanoids who have had a lifetime of experience of dealing with other people. And I think that's where Davison's Doctor's at. I genuinely feel that's why this Doctor is occasionally tetchy and grumpy with his companions, how he's snappy with his companions, how he seems out of his depth. It's not because of the situation, it's because of the fact he's trying to deal with the situation whilst looking after this ragtag bunch of idiots that he carries around with him. Now, flash forward to the future. Yes, thank you, Libs. We all know where this Doctor ends up. We know how this Doctor finishes.
I don't.
Yes, you do, Lib.
I do.
You do. And the masterpiece that is where this Doctor ends up, and we don't normally do this, but the masterpiece perfectly is going to wrap up this Doctor. Now, we know this because it is, you know, let's have that story in City of Death fight it out at some point. You know, up until this point, there's not many others that are going to challenge, Davison's last story for the greatest Doctor Who story of all time, because it's up there. But, I mean, we know where all this is going to go. Man alive, honestly, that's been a Road to Damascus moment. That's not what I'm looking at. Sword of Damocles moment. I don't know what moment it is. You were going to say something, Lynn?
No, I was just going to say, in the original Snakey episode, do you remember
Kinder.
the old lady?
Oh, yes, the shaman type, yes.
I thought the man was a bit
Yeah,
echoey of her.
totally.
And it made me sort of reminiscent for those days, because I like that.
Yeah, it's brilliant. What a fantastic two stories in combination.
Well, we didn't have the terrible snake.
The snake was way better.
Yeah, it wouldn't be hard, would it?
It's not, but... and
It was much better.
I think the CSO of the snake growing next to Tegan was awkward, but fine. But that point when Tegan... I mean, it was not the greatest effect, but when Tegan CSO'd on the snake...
It wasn't amazing.
But...
It did remind me of the Queen pop music video.
Okay, but her performance is sublime, I think.
I would agree with that.
I think she's
And it
absolutely
must
brilliant.
have come out of her shell, which I quite like.
I like that snap at the Doctor.
Yeah. Yeah, she's time to do one.
Yeah, quite right too.
Because he's a knob.
I also think that the guy from Bread should have been his companion.
He was really good.
Yeah, really
I
good.
enjoyed him.
Really good. Oh, gosh. New companions, eh? Who can be bothered with one of those? Anyway, that genuinely, the second that line, it's my fault, and he sounded panicky, and he's like looking for some help. Please help me. This is my fault. That's it. I'm sold on this now.
A little bit white, male, patriarchy sort of realising things are your fault type attitude.
Maybe so, but irrespective of that. Hello, the boy's up. Right, okay. Thank you. Here he comes. Here he comes. There he is. It's the boy. It's the boy. Cheery bye.